Yes, welcome to my channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I want to start by this. You know, Africans are waking up. The cock always wake up early in the morning to wake us up. Friends, I think it's important for us to discuss more about Africa. My Facebook page is called Mwaka Lutukumoi. I'm sorry for the past 1 month. I've always been posting dances and other things which may not interest you. But I think it's important for us to start the debate. I've been looking around. Where should I post my writings? Where should I debate? Because I've seen there's a lot of danger. We as Africans must wake up. I've seen there's a big problem. The West versus the East. The proxy war is slowly but surely getting into Africa. But again, African scholars, politicians, leaders, name them, all are blaming the West for the common mistakes they made. For example, slavery, where over 2 million Africans were enslaved by the West. Things were looted. In 1884, the Europeans sat in Berlin Conference in Germany, where they divided Africa into 54 countries. Others were partitioned or given to men like Leopold, King Leopold of Belgium. He owned Congo, where he introduced what we call letter de cachet, cutting hands of those who failed to pay taxes. Later he sold it. Britain took Uganda, Sudan and others. Germany, name them. Americans did not colonize Africa, but we know of slavery. Millions of slaves were brought to America. Now they are crying for reparation. They made the roads, highways, the big houses, but they are left poor. Many are homeless. The Africans are saying, please pay us reparation. Back home, the West has done a lot in terms of development, in terms of giving aid, in terms of making Africa great. But unfortunately, the East, China, and Russia are slowly but surely taking off Africa because Africans feel democracy is not working. They're looking towards communism because they believe the West is bringing in forth their own leaders, like in Kenya, in Nigeria, etc. They believe democracy doesn't work. In Uganda, We have had President Museveni for 37 years, but he hypocritically works with America. But unfortunately, Africans are now gearing towards the East because in the Cold War, Apathaied in South Africa was too much. They helped fight Apathaied. Russia gave money and weapons. No wonder South Africa is leading in the fights against the West. Then the BRICS trying to see how to fight the dollar. And I've seen many African leaders are trying to convince Africans to see how to fight against dollars. But the biggest question is, won't Africans caught new colonialism? I think communism can be the worst form of colonialism because it will be terrible. Do Chinese have voices? Do Russians have voice? Do North Koreans have voice? I've seen everybody saying, say the West, the West, the West. Much as the West did a lot of bad things, most Africans whose countries are terrible. I'm a victim of torture and bad governance. In Uganda, I was tortured by the police for trying to organize riot. I was national spokesman of the Democratic Party, an opposition party in Uganda. Guess what? I was tortured by the police. I almost died. My spines were affected, my back disc, the hands was broken. Right now, I walk on cane like a drunkard. I'm crippled here in America. At this age, I was not supposed to be at this situation. So I call upon Africans, I call upon America and the West to think twice, to see that we do something to make Africa great and to pay reparation. Let's take time. Uganda, for example, passed anti-gay law. Many countries in Africa are passing such laws. We know it's bad to fight against human rights, but I urge the West to slowly but surely investigate and try to find out why Africans are doing that. Secondly, they should study the laws. Uganda, for example, in the law, like any other laws, when you're gay and you rape a child or a woman, death penalty. Even if you sexually abuse anyone, any kid or woman, even if you're not a gay, that is death penalty in our penal code. There's no difference. But again, the difference is that when you're gay and you go to government and ask for rehabilitation, you have a leeway for rape. So I call upon, because of the government of Uganda passing the law, the UN, the World Bank, pull up support from Uganda. Imagine aid is gone. I have seen the reason why we are pushing African leaders to the East. Again, if we are not careful, we shall be creating bigger problem. We must wake up from this slumber. Right now, China has given a lot of money in terms of loans to African leaders and governments. And let me tell you, most countries are failing to pay back the loan. And China is already taking resources from countries. Soon there'll be a strong colonialism. And America, the West will try to help Africa when it's too late. Look, West Africa, there was a coup, many coups, but Russia and the Wagner rebel group, or the machineries are busy supporting wars in Africa, and Russia is busy funding them and taking charge. You can see Russian flags everywhere. So I think it's important for us to debate and discuss about the West versus the East versus Africa. Should Africa go communism or go democracy? Now they're debating whether they go communist or democratic. I call upon everybody watching me that let's debate. I'm not good at talking now. I'm learning to speak. I used to be an orator, but because of the damage in the spines, as I speak, I get problems speaking. That's why it's hard for me. I'm learning how to speak. I've got a speech therapist, but I believe at least my message can be taken home. So I'm sorry I spoke and made this video from the vehicle, but I think it's important for me to talk about how we can make our bad, our good better, our better best, and make the world a peaceful place to live in. It will be too late to start kicking Russia and China out of Africa. We are looking at nuclear war. We think it may start from Ukraine, but no, it might start in Africa, because Africa has more than 35% of the world's great resources like gold, diamond, etc. Therefore, it's important to think now before it's too late. There will be war for resources in Africa. We have oil, we have gold, we have everything. Look at Congo, has over 27 trillion in terms of resources and money they have there. But they're the poorest country in the world. Why? Africans are saying the West did a lot of havoc in siphoning resources we have. But I think it's high time we debate and see the way forward, because all debates can be taken by scholars, lawmakers, governments, and so on. It's important that we discuss now on how we can move on how we can have respect. Africans are genuinely complaining that the Europeans, the West, colonized them, took their resources in their libraries, their art and craft places. You get African golds and so on. Africans saying their things were stolen. They were put into colonialism. Millions were brought and died under slavery. The moral question is, what have we done to ameliorate the same? So I think it's that time we think beyond our noses that we must think. I think it's important for us to discuss this. I call upon you to share this message. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, like, or even unlike, because there's a place of liking and also unliking. So you can do both. But I think this is important for us in Africa, for us in diaspora, for those in the East, the West, all of us in the world. It's important that we discuss this so that we can save our world. Democracy is good, but is it working in Africa? That's a moral question. And how can we make it better? I thank you so much. I call upon you to share, like, and let's start a debate. I thank you so much. God bless you. I'm traveling.